I come from a family where I thought I was happy because as a young child, I remember my dad had money. Things was good. Things was perfect in my eyes. Not realizing that I had a sad awakening to receive after my mom died. Basically, my mom was literally shielding us from who our father was. Personal question. Did
Mhm.
you grow up with your father? Did you have that fatherly bond with your father? And if not, how did that affect you?
Well, no, my father, well, my mother was never married and she was quite young. And I think my father left the country when I was about 3 years old. And the next time I saw him, I was in my 30s.
Mm.
Um, I would visit my cousins often enough. So I had an uncle, and he was a good model, a model father and man. And so I had an example to look up to, even though I was not around him all the time, but I still had an example, whether I was paying attention or not.
Mm.
My grandfather was there for the early stages of my life, and it was the same thing, where he was, I think they had 10 children, and of the 10 children, two were boys. So my grandfather was in a house of females, and how he carried himself commanded the respect of the community, and he endeavored to teach his daughters, how to carry themselves. And because of how I see the females carry themselves in my family and the respect that they expect, I had no choice but to want to respect females as well because I grew up seeing life from the female perspective.
Mm.
And so I treat females a particular way. Um, Surprisingly, I actually enjoyed watching certain types of sitcoms like Cosby, and I would see certain people as examples
Right.
on
Carl
screen,
Winslow, Family Matters.
family matters, and all these things. So I actually looked at these things and said, when I have a family or when I'm a man, I want to be this kind of man, you know.
Oh, all right.
So it's not like I had it at home, but I knew what I wanted. I knew the kind of man that I wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
and the type of person that I was not going to allow me to be anything else.
I did grow up with my dad.
Did he play the role as a dad because you could have a father but not a dad, eh? Or vice
Yeah, yeah. I grew up with my dad. I pops. I the boss right
versa? The
there.
boss,
I
well, big up,
can't
pop.
say I can't say that I didn't grow up. I can't say that I had any times in my life when he was not away, except now. Um, um, because him and my mom split. But at that time, all of us was already, adults. So I can't say that I didn't grow up without him. I did grow up with him. A lot of the things that I know today, I know because of him. Um, he worked as a plumber for a national water company for over 28 years, just about 28 years, and retired. Um, I learned plumbing from him, so I could do my own thing when the time come. Certain projects I wouldn't do because it's not really something that I do every day, but I do know how to do plumbing. I do know how to. I learned tiling from this man. I learned um, some levels of carpentry from this man. I learned pretty much all I could think about. I pretty much learned from him. a lot of my characteristics and so forth. I have gained and gleaned from him. And I would say in some ways, some of my bad habits I did pick up from him.
Okay.
Just the same. So our relationship was very closely knit. We still speak today, even though him and my, and my mom separated and so forth. We still speak. We still have a close relationship.
You and your dad, y'all ever had that sit down chat about sex or the birds and the bees? I don't know. Growing what about yeah, like y'all chat?
We never really had a full-blown conversation as it relates to the topic of sex. However, he had his ways of giving advice. Bear in mind, some of it I just disregarded completely. Because I just disregarded completely because he spoke from his point of view and his standpoint, and I kind of already started developing my own views and thought process. So some of it I kind of disregarded completely, but some of it, when it came back down throughout the years, I actually realized what he was saying and why he said what he said. So we never really had a full-blown conversation as to what sex is about, like what to do, like, all these different things. And then we didn't go through all of that. However, we did have some snippets of advice that was given.